Into the mind of Dan and Dave. Into the mind of Dan and Dave.
Ready or not, here we go.
Into the mind of...
Hello. It's showing up. Welcome to the Dan and Dave Mindset. Well, that weirded me out for a second. I don't remember this in City Slickers too. Welcome to the Dan and Dave Mindset. My name's Dan.
How you doing? I'm Dave.
I'm good, Dave. So, tonight we got a special message. Special message? That sounds weird. Special
message.
Special message. If you remember Wolfman Mac Kelly, he was a radio DJ since 1984. Guy is he's a voice actor since the mid-'90s. Was involved in the Detroit television horror scene, doing all sorts of voice acting and things like that. He's fallen on some hard times. He's restarting himself now, and is trying to just get his career back together. There are actually a number of good resources for voice actors online. One is Voice123 and Voices.com, where you can actually be found by people looking for voice actors and get your work up. Thing is, you need equipment to do so, microphones and mixers and so forth. And this is what Wolfman Mac is trying to get around so that he can get back to work.
Is he a Michigander?
He is a Michigander, I believe. My understanding is he is from Detroit area,
Nice.
or Detroit.
Uh-huh.
It was brought to my attention by my friend Chad Lab. Went to college with him for a while, known him for a good long time. Chad runs a business in Fowlerville, Michigan. It's called the Training Lab. Chad Lab runs the Training Lab. I actually really liked that name when I heard about it.
Yeah.
I find it clever. Chad is an NRA certified instructor for firearms and so forth, and he brought this situation with Wolfman Mac to my attention. You'll find in our description a link. Anyway, the link will take you to GoFundMe.com, which will lead you to where you can donate money to help get Wolfman Mac started up again. On top of that, the Training Lab is offering a promotion to go along with this. Anybody who donates $5 or more will be entered into a drawing that will it'll take place for his October 19th class. So if you donate $5 or more, you'll be eligible for 2 seats in the class. Each seat is normally $75. So what's 75 times 2?
Really?
It's 150, right?
Yes.
So it's a $150 value that the Training Lab is offering up as an incentive to donate to Wolfman Mac. On top of the fact that he's a local guy that we can help out and get him going again. The seats, the class itself is it's a CPL class, or a concealed pistol license class for the state of Michigan. And Chad's been teaching since 2006. He knows what he's doing. He served in the military for a really long time, and he is a fountain of knowledge, and certainly somebody who you could learn a lot from, and you'll be a better person for it. We'll be including links for the Training Lab as well, and for the GoFundMe page for Wolfman Mac. That is our
Promo.
Our promo portion of the show. I stand behind Chad. I think he's a good guy. Dave doesn't know him, but that's okay, because Dave knows me, and Dave stands behind me.
That's right.
So Chad's there, and then I'm behind him, and then Dave's behind me.
That's right.
And all of us are looking at you. So, Dave, aside from that, what's on your mind?
We have our new would you call it a contest? Prize kind
I
of
believe
thing?
we called it a contest.
Not a
or
contest,
slash
but
prize opportunity.
Yeah, like a thank you kind of.
A small thing, a token of our gratitude
Right.
opportunity.
Not because we are mindless and have no ideas for ourselves, but we like to hear what people want us to talk about,
Yeah.
what's on other people's minds. Okay, of course, again, I'm going to say becomes what's on our minds.
Exactly. And if you
That's-
got something on your mind that's something that we would be interested in having in our mind, then
Exactly, because usually,
Why wouldn't we?
it usually seems to click with us anyways, because like last week was Brian Wozny's thing he threw at us, and
yeah, what was... Oh, right. No, I'm just kidding.
anyway, so one of our loyal listeners, Michael Wetzel,
Michael Wetzel.
wrote on our page, which we encourage you to do as well.
We do highly encourage you to do so.
Even if it's encouraging to us, or if you want to say something bad about us, go ahead and do that. We'll take any kind of criticism.
Really, anything that just shows that you're listening.
Right. So, anyways, his his thought was good and bad service. I'm assuming he's talking across the board.
Yeah, customer service, he
Right.
said. Which, yeah, I guess that any type of customer service, I think, would be included.
Which I'm sure anybody has a lot to say about. I know I have a lot to say about it, but I mean,
I know I do
but people have different outlooks on different things and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like, it just like traveling, even inside the country, even inside the United States itself, depending on where you go, customer service is different, I think. Like, say from parts of like the Northeast, New England, New York, and stuff like that, compared to like, let's say, down south in like North Carolina and Georgia.
Oh, gosh.
I know you have different.
Don't get me started on Virginia.
Yeah, you have different experiences than I do, but I mean, like, I go like coming from Massachusetts, where I'm used to. I'm not gonna say generally. I'm gonna say, but the most of the waitresses, I'm gonna leave it at waitresses for now, that I've run into, act like they are bothered because they actually have to do work.
In Massachusetts?
Yeah,
Really?
like they walk up to you and they're taking your order,
Like, what
you're,
do you want?
yeah, like you just walked into their house and you're disturbing them. You're like, really? They're like, what do you want? Come on, I'm in a hurry here. I got stuff to do besides my job. I want to do, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. It's like, come on. And then I went down to visit a friend of mine in North Carolina, and I'd
Should
never
try that out sometime.
I'd never really been anywhere back then, and I went down to North Carolina and went out with him to go eat at this restaurant, and like the waitress was so cool. Like she seriously, like she sat down at the she came over. It freaked me out because she like came down. She like sat down at the table with us. She's like, hey, how y'all doing?
Oh, she's
What-
one of
you know?
those
Yeah,
kinds
she's
of
like, hey, how y'all doing? What would you like to eat? And blah blah blah. and
Really
stuff.
getting personal with you.
She's like recommending all this stuff, and I was, and it was like crazy, man. Like, and I felt like, what are you doing? Like invading my space?
Really?
I didn't feel like that. It was just, it wasn't that I.
Like, what's your angle, lady?
I
Did
just-
you
not
steal
that-
my
yeah,
wallet?
It's not. Yeah, it's not like that. I hated her or anything. It was just weird. It was out of my, out of my normal.
Was this the first time you'd been out of Massachusetts or something? Like eating at a restaurant out?
Well, it was the first.
When
time
was
I-
this?
Hmm?
Sorry, what?
This was probably, I don't know, 12 years ago.
Ah,
But it wasn't it wasn't my first time out of Massachusetts, but it was my
Okay.
first time out of, like, New England, the New England area,
all right.
where I personally think people are a lot more uptight
Huh.
compared to other parts of the country.
Except for apparently the waitresses, who are very easy to just be like, screw you.
Well, that's uptight to me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, going down there was a totally different thing for me. I was, like, shocked. And, like, my friend who's from down there obviously was, like, having a conversation like he knew her his whole life kind of thing. I mean, that's the comparison I got. Like, because I always thought waitresses are always like that. Just, like, horrible people that...
Just terrible people.
Yeah, I'm like, come on.
I just hope they bring me my order right.
It's just those people. It bothers me so much that some of these people, and it's outside of waiters and waitresses, like just go to like to any kind of store, some places or even flying on a plane,
Yeah.
they like it's like, you know where you're getting a paycheck, right? But they act like you're invading their privacy when they're there
You're
to
like
be
inconvenienced them.
Yeah.
Is the entire service industry like that? Like that on the East Coast or New England? I mean?
From my experience, mostly.
Hmm.
Mostly.
Yeah.
From my experience, I mean, of course you get. I mean, there's times where I've been there, you know, and there's cool people, you know, chit chat or whatever. But majority of the time, it's always been like that.
I was in West Virginia one time, and this is truly like the only. Like, I haven't been in a lot of places. I've been several places. This is truly like the only like really truly segregated town that I've ever been in, and I didn't expect one so far north. You know, it was summertime.
What do you mean segregated? Like how?
Well, like driving through town, you could see there was the white side of town and the black side of town, and you could almost see a line, like where like there was white people on the street everywhere to the east of this one street, and then everywhere to the west of that, it was only black people, and it was bizarre. And I, you know, fall somewhere in the middle, and I was in this shop on the east side of that street, and the
what
guy.
Side is that?
What? That's the white side.
Okay.
I was on the white side.
You don't belong here, son.
This guy, yeah, dude. This guy in this little coffee shop / candy shop. I just wanted a cup of coffee, and this guy was not pleased to see me in his store. Like, he gave me like a subtly hard time. This guy was like just kind of surly, and he was like annoyed that I was there, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. But then as I was driving through the town and I saw the division in that town, it was in Charleston, I think, like the capital.
Mm-hmm.
And once I saw the division there, I looked back an hour to that situation, and I was like, I am 99% certain that guy is a huge racist, and that he thought I was like Mexican or something,
right? Or
I don't know. I saw the occasional like mixed kids there. Ooh, that must be rough for them. I don't know. That's probably really terrible. Like just a horrible crime there to be mixed. I don't know.
Living in there.
Yeah.
So that was your customer service.
That was my West Virginia customer service experience. Mm-hmm. Not good for non-whites.
Right.
So you'd be fine. They'd probably treat you great.
What about around here?
Around here, well, I was going to ask you the same thing, actually. Like, well, you know.
It's half and half for me here because I still think Michigan's a lot more laid back than Massachusetts is. I mean, Massachusetts, I mean, East Coast in general, you know, like New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Esch.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's high strung and they're all on the go and like get out of my way, that sort of thing, which is, I mean, that's what I was used to.
Yeah.
And then coming over here where everybody's kind of not as bad. I mean, they're not as laid back as like if you're going down south or whatever to like North Carolina or South Carolina or anything like that, but much more laid back. I still run into the occasional person who's like just a jerk.
Yeah.
Because you have I understand people have a bad day. Okay, that's fine. But I didn't cause your bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a waitress or a waiter or somebody just at the gas station or whatever, and you like go up and you're just trying to get gas or whatever, and they're kind of like just looking at you like you just slapped them in the face.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
I didn't do anything to you. I'm just like I just want some gas.
Sorry that I came here during your shift.
I know, right? That's my big thing. It's like, you know, you're getting paid, right? I mean, this is the reason you get a paycheck.
Yeah.
You are supposed to.
Yeah, I don't want special treatment or anything.
I do. I want the treatment that I deserve for coming in your establishment.
Yeah, but you don't need to be treated like a king.
Right.
Just like a regular person who's about to spend a little money. You don't need to break the rules or anything.
Well, see, that's
just be nice.
That's where I sort of disagree, I guess, when it comes to like a waiter or a waitress. Like, I went to eat at a restaurant one time. This was a couple years ago, over like towards like Grand Ledge or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the waitress was horrible. She was mean. She got all the orders wrong, all this other kind of stuff.
Were you at Denny's?
A Sega Shake, actually.
Oh, well.
And everything was wrong. And I was sitting with two friends of mine, and it was time to leave and pay the bill.
Yeah.
And I didn't leave a tip. They're like, "You're not going to leave a tip?" I'm like, "Don't you leave a tip because they did a good job?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why, if anybody walks around like, and I'm sorry for, I know you were, I mean, I know you still do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But you're basically paying them for their service. So if they're giving you crappy service,
Yeah.
and they get paid anyway, they're going to keep doing crappy service. So
Yeah.
why would I encourage that crappy service?
I would say, yeah, if I did a horrible job, then I wouldn't be upset if somebody didn't tip me. Although, if I was the type of person to allow myself to do a horrible job, then I probably would be upset if I didn't get tipped.
Yeah, but like
Because I would just think I was entitled to that tip.
on the other side, when I'm someplace and the waitress or the waiter or whatever is like really good, really nice, really taking care of you,
Give 'em a solid
you want to
10%,
give 'em
right?
really good. You want to give them a really good tip because they obviously went out of their way for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you see that they're doing all these other tables and you know what I mean, all that other kind of stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But for somebody who's just horrible and is just a jerk to you, made your experience there not enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to sit there and you got to wait around for this and that and this. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be able to sit there, relax, and have a meal.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there and you're being all uptight and everything, then I'm not going to encourage that.
I can treat myself like crap at home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why encourage? You know, so why?
Yeah. I mean, look, I will say, and look, this is how I look at it these days, right? Like, I know what these people, I know, like, servers make somewhere in the vicinity, plus or minus $2.65 an hour in this area.
Right. I really don't go out that much.
Yeah.
As far as to be, well, like to know tipping very well. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Like, well, I mean, most of the time I've gone out to where a tip is involved is usually with you.
Yeah.
And usually I will slide my check over to you and say, how much should I tip? And you tell me how much to tip, and I'll write it down.
Right. It really comes down to this. It's like if you get what you consider standard service.
Right.
Not great, but not bad. Just normal. You should tip 20%.
Mm-hmm.
That's the expectation of a. This is you are not punishing your server with anything 20% or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Anything over 20%, you're telling them that you really appreciate their efforts. 20%, you're saying you did fine.
Well, so my thing.
Anything
is,
below 20%, you were punishing them.
My thing is like tipping, let's say, depending. I guess my thing is like depending on the actual task that's at hand for the person.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a buffet or something like that, it's different. But a regular sit-down restaurant. What do you mean?
Like if you were, let's say you went to a bar.
Yeah.
And you got a couple beers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's say the beers were like $5 a piece.
$5
You know what I mean?
a
All the
piece.
guy did was pull a tap.
At that point, you're looking at a $10 tab. You should leave $2.
I guess to me, I think of like the thing that I was talking about earlier, the Steve Buscemi character
In Reservoir Dogs.
Dogs, when they're all sitting around a table and they're all eating or whatever, and all he has is a cup of coffee or a couple cups of coffee, and they're all like, everybody pitch in, for the tip. He's like, I'm not tipping. I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
That sort. And they're like, what are you talking about? You don't believe in a tip? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't think because society tells me I have to tip, that I have to tip. And he's like, I had 3 cups of coffee. Basically, she came over here, and she refilled my cup 3 times. She could have refilled it 6 times. And they're like, well, maybe she was busy. And he's like, well, busy shouldn't be in a waitress's vocabulary. That sort of thing. I mean, I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's points where it's like tipping gets out of hand. Like you go to like Starbucks or whatever, and you know what I mean. They make you a drink, and
See, I feel different about that because I know that they make at least minimum wage. Now, at a crappy little diner like they were at in Reservoir Dogs, that waitress is not making much,
Right.
Anyway,
right.
So,
I'm not saying in the restaurant. I'm trying to use this outside of
Right, right.
I'm trying to use this like in the coffee thing, where you
Yeah. Well, at that point though,
they pour you a cup of coffee and
that cup of coffee probably costs $1.
right.
Just give her $1. You spent $2 on your coffee. She's not gonna be upset.
Why though? Tell me why.
I guess because she had to do it for you, because you agreed when you came into that place to let her get you your coffee. When you walk into a restaurant, you're agreeing to let somebody else get your food for you and do that work for you. Now, you could have stayed home and had coffee for 30 cents for whatever it cost you for the beans that you needed to make your own coffee and gotten up and poured it yourself, but you went into a place where you walking through the
Pay
door,
for overpriced.
you know you're going to pay more for it anyway.
Product.
Yeah, you're paying for an overpriced product, yeah. And you are agreeing to let somebody else do the work for you, and they should be paid for it.
And like I said, I'm not like this. You know, I'm not like some kind of cheap guy.
I know you're not.
But I was trying to pull out all aspects of this whole service thing, and that's one of the big. I mean, that's one of the big things that I think a lot of people. I mean,
that's a tough spot.
It's
there,
a base. I mean, it's one of almost a basic subject in a lot of movies. The whole tipping.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, which I think is entertaining.
I'll tell you what. I think that it should be in a country like this where we live in, where most of your interaction in the as a consumer has some bit of customer service involved in it. You know, like everything you do, you get involved with customer service people almost. You know what I mean?
But let's say, all right. So let's say you go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
You got all kinds of items. You sit there, you go through the check there. She's got to sit there and swipe all your stuff, type it all in, blah, 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 take your money on it. Do you tip her?
No.
Why?
Because she took that job agreeing to take that amount of money per hour for that particular job. Remember when they used to have bag boys that take your groceries out to the car?
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
Are you joking?
I know what you're talking about.
Didn't they not have that in,
yeah, they did,
in New
of
England?
course.
Yeah. Those guys used to get tips from some people. My mom would tip them once in a while.
I remember working at, I worked at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
And it was forbidden, basically, by the company to take tips. You get fired for taking a tip.
Yeah.
For taking people's stuff out to the car.
Yeah. Really?
Forbidden.
Yeah.
If you get caught, you get fired.
If
Which
you-
I think is different because it's a club. It's not a, you know what I mean, not a regular.
Yeah,
People
I mean-
they're already paying a fee to be treated like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't know they took your groceries out for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's different. Well, look, I mean, when I was in customer service at Verizon, and in sales too. But at first, I started out in customer service when I heard this rule, the same rule, like don't take any gifts or anything from anybody. You're not allowed to.
Right.
I took them anyway because the customer would get insulted if you didn't. For one thing, I had this guy. He asked to borrow my pen after I had helped him out with some stuff. And I don't know what his motivation was. He was just very pleased with the job I did for him. Real nice guy. I mean, I had a good time with him. He brightened my day, so he'd already done me a favor. Because especially there, when I started working at Verizon Wireless, there was this culture of of customers coming in and blaming the world's problems on you.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not stand for that. I did a little bit because I was, younger and not as, I don't know, stubborn as I am now. And not as, I don't know, I didn't have the expectation that I should be treated as well as I expect to be treated now. But this guy, he asked to borrow my pen for a minute, and he handed it back with a $20 bill wrapped around it. And at first I was like, "Are you sure that's my pen?" And he's like, "You earned this pen."
Nice.
And I'm like,
yeah,
"All right, thank you very much."
I've been on the other side as well. I mean, I've been in the customer service, and I would, and I liked it and hated it at the same time because I liked it because I like
interacting
one-on-one with people and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it's fun. It's kind of cool.
Until you
But
get
then
some psycho.
Once in a while, you get somebody who is totally out of hand, and
Yeah.
I've ran into them and I've sat there and have taken their abuse.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, you know what? And I told one lady off. I'm surprised I didn't get fired for it.
Yeah.
But she was.
I was
like,
surprised every time too.
She was on me and on me. I mean, she was like being, horribly verbally abusive to me. And I'm like, finally, I was like, lady, I don't know what I don't know. I was sitting there trying to do so much for her, and still she was just. I'm like, you know what? And the guy I was working was in the back working on a car.
Yeah.
And like, you know what? My coworker is in the back working on a car. He needs somebody else back there with him. You know what I mean? He's like, so why, you need to just leave. She's like, well, I'm gonna go talk to customer service. I'm like, you know what? You go do that.
Yeah.
And even then, how much I wanted to like go off on her, that was, I was a bit more mean than that because she just, I tried so much and she just kept on me. I was like, you know what? Get away.
Yeah.
And then later on, it was funny because later on, my friend Stephanie, who worked at customer service, came back and told me, she's like, Dave, you realize what you just did to me? Because after she left me, she went and started reaming on her.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, you know what? Is it life so bad that you just have to go out of your way to like make everybody else, you know what I mean, miserable?
If you're a jerk, I'm not going to go out of my way to do anything nice for you.
Because when I was working over there, people would come in, and you automatically knew they were looking for something.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that come in that are just, they have an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to, the people that have an issue, you want to give them a hand. You want to do whatever you can for them. The people that come in, they're coming in because they want something. You know what I mean? And they're trying to like manipulate whatever. That's.
This guy I used to work with at Verizon. His name was Jeff Jacob. He's got 2 daughters, and we'd hang out quite a bit back in the day. And one of the best pieces of advice that he ever told me that he gave his daughters, which is just good life advice in general anyway, had to do with expectations. And he's like, I'm pretty sure I don't know where he learned it exactly, but he had a lot of sales jobs over the years. But he's like, don't go into a place expecting them to bend over backwards for you, and don't go in with any expectation whatsoever. Like, expect your problem to be resolved, but don't predetermine what you think that solution needs to be. Let the people that work at these places, show you what they can do and figure out what works for both of you. And I thought that was very wise advice. Setting expectations, unrealistic expectations, was the real issue with a lot of our customers coming in there. Was they would come in expecting you to give them a bunch of free stuff, give them a new phone that was better than the one they had, stuff like that. And you're like, well, I can't do any of that stuff. And they get mad because they expected that to happen. And because literally, I'm not allowed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? I can't do it. I had a good situation of expectations here. We had warranty replacement phones in stock at our locations, and this girl came in with a phone that had a warranty issue. She needed a replacement, and she came in, and she's like, my phone doesn't work. I'm expecting a call soon. I need my phone replaced, and unfortunately, we were out of stock with that replacement. I didn't have any, and it was an older model too. But I'm like, well, I'm sorry, we don't have any in stock here, and I looked around, and the closest one was at a store like maybe 20 miles away. And I said, or, I can give you free overnight shipping, get it to you tomorrow. Well, it'd be like the day after, I think, because it was late. But, I'll get it to you as soon as possible, and it's not going to cost you anything. And she got all pissed off. She's like, well, I need it now, though. And I said, well, I don't have any here. I can't replace it because I don't have any. Uh-huh. But I'm like, if you want, you can head to, so it was maybe, I don't know, it was 20, 30 miles away. She still could have gotten there before it closed, everything. It would have been fine. I mean, I said I can call them up, have them hold it for you, have it ready for you, and, you know, make sure that, you know, you can get it taken care of. She's like, well, I need it now, though. And I'm like, I don't have one, though. What do you want me to do? Right. And she's like, well, you know, replace my phone. And, I mean,
Was she
she was
expecting something like a different model?
I don't know. She never actually asked for anything else because, you know, one thing I would do is like, what would you like me to do?
Right.
And that, you know, which is
Replace my phone.
Yeah. That's
well,
great. Yeah.
That can't happen.
Well, guess what?
That's right.
It's a nice little customer service trick. If any customer service person ever asks you, what would you like me to do? That generally means that they've exhausted their possible options for you. You haven't accepted any of them, and now they're at the end of the rope.
Right.
Because they're like, what do you want? You know, what do you want me to do? And
could you have hooked her up with a different model?
There was a thing that we would do.
Like customer satisfaction kind of a thing?
No, nothing legit. There was some things we used to do, like if people were really nice. If we had the problem came like a lot of phones took the same battery. So if we had a slightly better replacement that took the same battery, and if somewhere in the store we could find a spare back for that phone, because the problem there was like the warranty replacements didn't come with a back, so we could we could upgrade them to something with the same battery, but if they didn't have the back of the phone, then there was nothing to hold the battery in. And there were donated phones. We had big boxes of these phones that people had donated. And you could look through them and find a back that would fit. And then we also had a drawer of backs of phones, too, that we kept, you know. It wasn't something like by policy that we kept them. We just had them for spare parts or whatever. And because there was no other way to really get them. And so, like, if somebody was super nice and just in a desperate situation, you know, it's one thing.
Right.
But you come in being like a raging witch, you know, I'm not going to do anything that jeopardizes me because I don't trust you to not, like, say something to the wrong person that could get me in trouble for helping you in a way that I'm not supposed to help you. You know what I mean? I mean, that it kind of comes down to that a lot, too.
Yeah, that's what
what?
That's why I don't totally agree with the whole customer is always right thing.
Oh, I totally disagree with that. But ultimately, I told her, I'm like, look, I can't materialize a phone here for you. And that's exactly what I said to her. And she got really mad about that. And I said, this is where they are, or I can ship you one. What do you want me to do? Of those options. Because I had given her options like multiple times. I actually came up with like 4 or 5 different things she could do. And she didn't like any of those things. And I'm like, well, I've given you 4 or 5 options. Whatever it was. I'm like, I've given you these options. These are the things that we can do. I can do any of those. Which of those do you want me to do? None. I want a phone now. Well, I can't do that.
Yeah, one of the times that I went to the Philippines, I was, I think I was on my way there. And it was in Japan. And when you fly, the way I flew, you'd fly from, let's say, Detroit or Chicago. And you'd fly into Japan. And then you would have to get off the plane and get researched and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why they do that, but whatever. And then you get back on the plane and you'd fly to the Philippines. Anyway, so we get off the plane, and we're all standing in line waiting to go through security and everything like that. And this guy walks up with a bunch of kids. I don't know if it was like a youth group or like a swim team or whatever. But this dude, he's like, somehow the plane got in late, so that means they might miss their connecting flight or whatever. And he's like yelling, and when you like, the Japanese people are very timid, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
Over there in the airport, anyways, and being in just going out in Japan or whatever, they all seem very timid, or I should say, you know, hospitable, whatever you want to call it. So this guy is all pissed. This guy is pissed because
this is what? Where's this guy from?
He had to be from America or
Okay.
Canada or whatever. But he was pissed off that his flight came in late and that he might miss his connecting flight.
Yeah.
And he's yelling at this tiny Japanese woman in customer service. He was screaming. And we're all in this line. Basically, the customer service thing was like right across from us. So we're like everybody there was hundreds of people probably just like watching this guy yell at this poor Japanese woman,
Yeah.
blaming her. What does she have to do with it? And he's like, if we're late and blah blah, we missed our flight. I'm coming back for you and everything. I seriously came so close to like going over that like divider rope thing or whatever and like having a few words with him.
Yeah.
Just because it's like this poor you're such a big man. You're such a big man. That
Uh-huh.
you're yelling at this poor, tiny Japanese lady. Do you feel like that's what I felt like saying? I really wish I had. I still think about it all the time. Like I wish I would have went over there.
I know. Yeah.
Like, do you feel manly now?
Yeah.
You know that you did this not only to her, but you did it in front of all these people.
Yeah.
Because you look like a moron.
Yeah.
You look like a pansy.
Yeah.
And I felt so. She was like sitting there. She felt so bad. You could tell she was just like, I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah.
He's such a jerk.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I could tell you so many stories that would make our episode longer. Like,
Me too. We
I
can't
got-
go into all that.
I got one I gotta give. I got one more, and then I gotta make a single point, and then I've got enough for us tonight. But I was coming into my own when it came to like people trying to, intimidate me or yell at me or whatever, or treat me badly at my job. Like I don't allow. You know.
Right.
And I came to a point where, like the expectation is that I will allow that. I'll allow you to treat me poorly because I work here, and I'm like, no.
Well, see, I will do it, and I will allow it to a certain extent.
Yeah, there's a little area in there
Right.
where But so then I got transferred over into the Meridian Mall, and it's where I started working with Geoff Powell, and he taught me beautiful things about people. And I'll tell this story to anybody. It was like my first real strong memory of Geoff was this guy comes up to him. This is like maybe my second or third day working in that location, and probably the second time I was working with him or whatever. And this guy comes up to the booth. We're in a kiosk, and throws his phone on the counter at Geoff, and he's like, "This doesn't work." And Geoff picks the phone back up, extends it back out towards him, and he says, "You want to try that again?"
Nice.
And held it there until the guy took it, and he's like, the guy took it. He's like, "My phone doesn't work." And like, can you look at it, please?
Nice. Nice.
And it was awesome. And I was like, this man can teach me things.
Yeah.
And it changed my whole way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the whole I do it, and I put up with it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like if people come in, they're like genuinely looking for help, and they, you know what I mean, and you try and go out of your way, and they'll push it because they know they deserve whatever.
Yeah.
And you try and work with it. And the same thing with me. If I get something, a product or a service or whatever, and it's like messed up or whatever, then but I'll do it politely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll write a letter or whatever. Like I've done like with a couple of airlines. I've wrote them and said, "Hey, this happened, or whatever,"
Yeah.
and they'll respond politely and
Get air miles.
remedy
or
the
whatever.
situation,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But if you sit there and write a horrible letter or email or walk in like that, throw the phone at people, that doesn't make them want to
Yeah.
give you a hand. And you know what I mean?
There's a cutoff where if somebody was to come up, obviously frustrated, and being slightly unreasonable, where, like, I mean, that guy was beyond unreasonable, so he needed to be taken down a peg.
Right.
There are people who would come in all the time and would be, like, really upset and taking it out on you a little bit, and it'd be a thing where, like, I'll spend a couple of minutes trying to bring them down to reality and be like, I'm not the bad guy.
And that's understandable because I'm sure people come in hot.
Yeah,
and they're
'cause-
like,
Well, sometimes
frustrated.
they'd go to another location or be on the phone and
Right.
be mistreated or whatever, or feel they were mistreated, and they just need somebody face to face to be like, "Look, this is the situation. Let's just work together here and we can figure this out."
right.
And I'd be happy. I was always happy to do that kind of thing. I was also very happy if somebody was unable to be reasonable, to force them to be reasonable or get away from me.
That's a gift. In my opinion, customer service is not cut out for everybody.
I
That's
had,
for sure.
I had a mode that I went into where I was a different Dan.
I mean, I have a couple of friends, more than a couple, that would not do well in customer service.
It's not for everybody.
I will not
Because
name
you-
your names, but you know who you are.
I don't know.
But I also have other people, other friends that don't know how to even handle customer service for themselves.
like to get good customer
Right.
service.
They're
Yeah.
just so timid that they'll get
Oh.
walked over.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
You know what I mean?
This is my opinion, and I've heard other people share this opinion, but I've had this opinion for a long, long time. When it comes to this, I just feel that everybody in their late teens, early 20s needs to take. There are two jobs that people need to do for at least 6 months in their lives. They need to get some kind of customer service job where they have got to deal with people regularly on a regular basis every day,
Right.
and they need to spend 6 months being a waiter or a waitress. You need to do both of those jobs before you move on to being an adult, so that you understand what these people can go through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ultimately, it'll become a thing where, like, they should make this a law, but ultimately it'd be a thing where once everybody did this, they'd be a lot cooler.
Yeah.
Not necessarily nicer, but you'd be just like, let me, I'm going to go into this situation knowing that I need to work with this person so they will work with me.
Right.
And so that we can work together and come up with a solution. And I need to be a waiter because it's not as easy as it looks. Because it looks easy because these people are good at their job.
Right.
Now, some people suck at it. And they make it look easy too because they're not doing it.
Yeah.
And, and that's fine. But everybody needs to do these things and see what it's like. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Also, minimum 20%. That's a tip. Unless you dislike the person that served you.
Well, unless you dislike their service.
Unless you dislike their service. If
Right.
you dislike their service, then you are entitled to less than 20%.
Yeah.
But don't be nitpicky and pay attention. Look at the restaurant around you. Jess and I were at a Steak and Shake where they had, and it's not her fault, she was the only girl working the entire floor.
Right.
The place was not packed, but there were a good 10 to 12 tables. That's a lot of tables.
Right.
4 or 5, you start, your mind starts getting crazy. And she was doing a pretty good job. And she had 10 to 12 tables. And half of them were people that looked like they had been grumpy from the time they walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be penalized. You should go smack the manager in the face.
Yeah.
That's what you should do.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Get out there and start serving tables yourself, buddy.
Right. We
You
gave
can't
her
call somebody in.
Yeah.
Get out there yourself.
we gave her a very nice tip
Yeah.
because she had a lot to deal with there, and she was so nice.
Yeah.
And she was good.
Right.
She was clearly like overwhelmed though.
Right.
And so pay attention to that when you're in a restaurant. Look around the restaurant, see how many other people are working, see how busy it is.
Yeah, that's bad
And-
management for one.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
But I mean, in any restaurant, if it's packed,
Right. I know.
give the person a break.
Yeah.
Understand that you are not the only table there. And if you go into a restaurant feeling like you should feel like you're the only table in the restaurant, then go home and eat at home because that's where you are the only table. All right? Because it's not true. Don't kid yourself. Anyway. You've been listening to the Dan and Dave Mindset. My name's Dan.
I'm Dave. Peace.